joyfully historic for us as an organization. This what we all share is a love for games, and I think particularly on this call, what we love is allowing more people access to making the best games they can, which is a very specific thing. And so our friends at Cleverlike, Sloane, Stephen, have come to join us today to really just lift everyone up with some knowledge, some technology, and also, like we like to say, the friends you make along the way. So what I hope is that everyone's going to be starting to say hi to each other. What I hope is that there's some global game jam teams forming in the midst here, as you vibe and learn, period. So I'm Gordon Bellamy from GGP and at USC. Alex Rogers, I'm pointing, but maybe not on your screen. Also here, Mika, our director of community, is here. Stephen from Epic, Sloane, Ian, Cleverlike family, right? So let's, you know what? Everyone's time's super valuable. Let's just jump in the deep end of the pool and go.
Awesome.
Stephen.
So yeah, I'll just kind of kick us off. But first off, welcome. And I love Gordon's intro and idea of us being here to build each other up. And that's very much what we love to do, both at Epic and certainly at Cleverlike. Just by way of a quick introduction, we'll each introduce ourselves and then we'll get into a couple of things, and then you'll get an awesome demo by Ian of kind of a little taste of when we do our game jams, what that might be like in terms of getting started with Unreal Editor for Fortnite. But anyway, my name's Steve Isaacs. I'm the Senior Manager of Programs and Partnerships at Epic Games. My entire, focus and dedication is to education and supporting mostly high school students, but also some collegiate, especially since we've been doing game jams. We have a whole other department group of great people who work with post-secondary. But my background is I was a teacher for 28 years. I was teaching game development for the last about 15 years of my career in a middle school, and then later also in a high school. I loved what I was doing. I got to do cool stuff with kids, and a lot of what kind of happened as my career evolved is I learned that I didn't have to be the one standing in front of the room all the time, but rather could empower students to learn the tools they wanted, and I would teach more the process. And amazing things started to happen because I really started to learn, as I say, with and from my students. I brought Minecraft into the classroom years ago, and kids were making games with Minecraft and just blowing me away. And the same thing happened with tools like Fortnite Creative and Unreal Engine. And sadly, when I was in the classroom, we didn't have Unreal Editor for Fortnite yet. Had we, that was the piece I was like desperately looking for. So that exists now, which is really cool. But so my role is really supporting educators and students in bringing our tools into the classroom to help nurture that next generation of creators, which, is exactly in line with what we've been doing with game jams and that sort of thing. So, we host game jams specific to Unreal Editor for Fortnite, which you'll hear a little more about, with the idea that generally, we don't expect students to have necessarily used the tool yet. So we try to provide that, a workshop and that tone of getting you started and helping, as Gordon would say, build you up throughout a weekend and, really support you throughout. And today's going to be a little introduction to that sort of thing. But, Ian and his team at Cleverlike have amazing resources that will kind of be almost like a do-it-yourself DIY game jam in a box, in a sense, where you'll be able to learn everything you could possibly want if you choose to use Unreal Editor for Fortnite and create content for Fortnite. Likewise, Unreal Engine, which you'll also see a little, is basically Unreal Editor for Fortnite is Unreal Engine, but modified in a sense to create content specifically for Fortnite. But the skills are very transferable, and, you certainly would be able to use Unreal, or I'm guessing any tool you'd like for the game jam that Gordon and his team is promoting. So with that, I'd like to just kick it to Ian to introduce himself, and then Sloane, since she's going to present a little bit first. We'll kick it to her after that.
Yeah, absolutely. You all hear me? We're good?
Coming through. You.
Happy? Sweet. It's never a presentation until somebody's like, you're on mute, man. You're on mute. So, hi, I'm Ian Southwell. I go by he, him, and his. I am creator director here at Cleverlike Studios. My background actually comes from working within the video game industry, working inside of education. I've taught as young as like 6 all the way up through, 66, all kinds of range, everything from kids to teenagers to professionals. So I've got a background just being able to help people as much as possible. One of my main goals and the things that I do the most here at Cleverlike Studios is to create tutorials. And I have made a bunch of them with the big help of my team. We've always got something coming out. I've got a couple things hidden behind doors. I can't show you what they are, but I can give you some hints on them. And we have an entire website full of tutorials that use the Unreal Editor for Fortnite. Now, if you're like, I've never used the Unreal Editor for Fortnite, I've been inside of Unreal, why would I want to use UEFN, which is short for it? They're actually very similar. There are things that you can do inside of the Unreal Engine that you cannot do in UEFN, and vice versa. One of the things that I would point out really quickly is that there is a coding language that's being built inside of UEFN that you cannot use inside of Unreal yet. So if you decide to go down that route and learn verse code, is what it's actually called, if you learn the verse language, you will be ahead of professional Unreal developers. So it's something to kind of think about. Now, in my demo today, I'm not going to be touching verse. I don't think that that's fair on a first go, but we definitely will be covering some of the ways to do some event binding, as well as how to actually create some game mechanics. Now, one of the big advantages of UEFN is that you really don't have to create a lot. Like, you don't have to create the character. You don't have to make them be able to pick up weapons. You don't have to be able to create the landscapes. To a certain degree, we will definitely touch that today. You don't have to be able to create all of the buildings to a certain degree. We'll show you what I'm talking about on that. So that's what the long and the short of it is. When you have questions, not if you have questions, we'll go ahead and drop my contact information there inside of the chat, and be feeling free to contact me. I live on Discord. That's actually we use a lot for what we're doing. I'm going to go ahead and pass this on to Sloane. Sloane has actually been in a few of our game jams, and it is so cool that she's here today. And just, all right, Sloane, what do you got? I'll just leave it at that.
Not a problem. Hi, everybody. I am Sloane Miller. If we're going for formal introductions, I'm a senior at North Carolina A&T, so I'll actually be graduating out this semester. And I'm currently working alongside Cleverlike Studios for their creator school. And actually, if you look at this title card, you can see me right squished up front there. I don't remember how much sleep I had, so don't zoom in on my face. But if you'll actually go to the next slide. Yeah, so I have been working with UEFN for 2 major game jams. One was a few years ago with UNCG and their game jam. That was 48 hours. We were given the whole of the engine to build whatever we really could or wanted to in whatever capacity we wanted to. And the second one was at Unreal Fest this September, October time period, I believe, right around there, where we went up to DigiPen and actually got to work on specifically the race course features that they had, learn a little bit more about those systems as a whole, and build on that part of the engine. So 2 wildly different experiences, one with a bit more of a sandbox and the other with a bit more of a structured railcar approach. Either way, they both were a lot of fun. And secondary fun fact, actually, I did take part in the Global Game Jam last year when the theme was Make Me Laugh. My team and I built out a very small game on RenPy. But one of the biggest problems we were struggling with at the time was assets. None of us were artists. We were all struggling with the music and those pieces, so while we could do the code and everything else, the rest was difficult. And that's one of the things I really did enjoy about working with UEFN and do think would be useful for anyone else. If you don't think you have expertise in all of the areas, but you still want to bring a game to life, you have an idea or a concept you want to build out, UEFN does provide you the great tools for that. Not only does it have everything such as the weapons already in there, a lot of the assets already pre-built in, it also has things like movement, camera angles. A few of those I think have been updated more so recently. And what's better is once you have all of those bases in there, you can work on breaking all of the systems. In both game jams I took part in, my team accidentally made the goal to break the system more than it worked. So for the UNCG game jam, we had wanted more of a top-down roguelike style of a game, but we couldn't figure out how to adjust the camera angle. So because a lot of our pre-built assets were already in there, we were able to build out really complex levels, choose your own adventure style portions of it, and then dedicate a lot more resources to trying to build that new and innovative thing. Similar to the Unreal Fest, we wanted our track to be a little bit more universal, where you could pick different directions to go. And rather than working on building more so different types of carts or devices, we actually were figuring out how to invert the cart and how that might invert the control, so that way you could try to decrease your speed by completely dodging or avoiding obstacles in their entirety. Couple of limitations that we found were with animation. A lot of the animations were either preset, but even then you do have a lot of range. And if you get into Verse, and there are slowly becoming more and more tutorials on it, some are by Ian, some are by others, you can get around a lot of those, or you can work with them, and they're also very willing to help when you are trying to break something and get it to work again. But that is about the rough summary I could give about these. It is a great engine if you are beginning, if you have an idea you want to bring to life and aren't quite sure how to do it. UEFN gives you the basic tools to get it done and to build out your dream and your idea. And then from there, you can edit, fix, and do absolutely anything you need with it. Yeah, that's my summary.
So super cool. Yeah. When you've got questions about any of this stuff, anybody, like, please reach out to us.
Yeah.
We're here.
It was, it was really great to have Sloane at not just one game jam, but the second, I think for me came as a little surprise, because we were all the way out in Seattle, and there's Sloane sitting there ready to rock again. But she did an amazing job with her team at both. The first one, yeah, they got a certificate there. I don't know if she said what they had won, but
we won most innovative for quite literally breaking the camera twice.
There you go. Most innovative breaking of a camera. No, it was, but I love that part of the summary and talking about the reality of, and you all know that if you're working on games, you break things, you spend a lot of time frustrated trying to fix things, and then when you finally fix it, you feel very good again. Is typically, I think, the way that goes. But I'm going to get into a little bit, just real quick, just a tiny bit about Epic and a little bit about UEFN to kind of set the stage. And then Ian's going to probably rock your world if you haven't used UEFN before, to kind of see how accessible it is and such. But Epic Games, as many of you know, we're a company that licenses software. So we have, Unreal Editor for Fortnite, Reality Capture, which is used for photogrammetry, Unreal Engine, MetaHuman Creator, which now, you can use metahumans in UEFN and all this kind of crazy stuff. The Fab Marketplace, as well as Twinmotion and, some other products that we license. But we are also a publisher. We've published a number of games. I mean, certainly Rocket League, Fortnite. Fortnite is really pretty special in terms of the way the ecosystem is evolving and the opportunities that come with that. Fortnite is no longer just a battle royale game by any stretch. So if you haven't played in a while, you'd be rather surprised when you go in and see all of the content that's available. And then, our focus today is UEFN, or Unreal Editor for Fortnite. I'd love to just hear in the chat if anybody has tried to or has used UEFN, has used Unreal Engine. It would be great to just get a little bit of a sense of that in the chat. If you could just throw in if there is any level of experience you have with either, and if you've been able to, break things like Sloane. And while you're typing that kind of stuff in the chat, I'm going to share with you this is great, because this is the original UEFN tech demo from GDC in 2023. And I say that because we've continued to evolve, as we do with all our products, what's available in Unreal Editor for Fortnite. But even just seeing this video really kind of lets you see what you can do, and then think of that and much more.
Now let's take a closer look at UEFN features and workflows. We put together a short video, and then we're going to do a demo. Thank you.
Let's start with the basics. Unreal Editor for Fortnite runs on PC and is integrated directly with Fortnite, so you have access to over 4 years of content, all for free, to get you started. What's special about UEFN is what we call Live Edit. Live Edit allows anyone on your team to join a UEFN session from any platform that runs Fortnite. That means someone can join from a console using the normal Fortnite client, and they're able to work alongside and collaborate with PC users. UEFN has access to all Fortnite creative devices, our modular gameplay systems that work in the in-game editor. This allows you to instantly add gameplay and quickly bootstrap your game from the hundreds of gameplay devices already available. The UEFN beta has many of the same features we use to create Fortnite, including the landscape editing toolset. You can edit the landscape to change the look of your island, or make sweeping changes to create something completely new, and then quickly play it in-game to check out the results. So even though you have access to tons of Fortnite content, with UEFN you can make content that looks nothing like Fortnite. This is a section from Forest Guardian, a tech demo built in UEFN that we are launching today. A big feature of UEFN is the ability to import your own custom assets, so we used a few 3D models, textures, and materials that we built just for the project. And all the lighting in the cave was made possible thanks to Lumen, our real-time global illumination system. You can also find more content like Quixel Megascans and Sketchfab models in our initial alpha release of the Fab plugin for UEFN. All assets are curated and optimized for use in Fortnite, and the full version of Fab will launch later this year. You can also create and modify materials, so you can change the look and feel of objects easily. And you can import skeletal meshes, and then animate using Sequencer and Control Rig. Everything you've just seen is available today in the public beta version of Unreal Editor for Fortnite.
Now let's take.
And as I mentioned, that today was about a year and a half ago. So even things like it mentioned the Fab Marketplace. If you haven't become familiar with it yet, the Fab Marketplace now is the place to find assets for UEFN, for Unreal, even for Unity, and it's just a growing marketplace of assets. And just to kind of reiterate a little bit of what was in the video. That live edit lets you build in either Fortnite Creative or UEFN. And UEFN is PC based, and Fortnite Creative you can use on any console. But if you're working in a team, you can actually work in tandem, either on multiple computers or on a computer and a console. The visual effects, Niagara is integrated, animation with the sequencer, terrain building, as you saw. So you have so many of the tools that are part of Unreal Engine, and the environment is essentially Unreal Engine. And all of the original content from Fortnite is available. So, you have prefabs of all the buildings and things and all the gameplay mechanics through the devices. So, there's so much to, if you have the mindset of games and multiplayer games and Fortnite, that you can just, kind of just jump right in. And the thing I always love, which is similar to that live edit in a sense, is that when you are right when you want to test your game, you hit launch session and it opens it up right in Fortnite. So after 5 minutes of building, you put a building in and you hit it, launch it in Fortnite, and you're seeing what you've done in Fortnite. And the real-time collaboration with revision control is, without a doubt, I think our easiest approach to collaboration in a game engine like this. Even somebody like I can work in revision control. So that says something.
That's saying a lot. I'm just gonna put that.
Ian's. Luckily, I have Ian in my corner because anytime I try to mess around with something and break it like Sloane might, I go right to Ian. And then also the verse programming language, which is a new programming language. So, Ian might go over it a little bit too, but like if you're talking Unreal Engine, you're talking about Blueprints, which is a visual scripting language. If you're talking about Fortnite, you're talking about Verse, which is a functional language. And I'm going to show another video just because it shows kind of a little different flair of some of the cool stuff that is available within UEFN. So I don't know, that dragon, it's just pretty epic. It's also worth noting that in UEFN, there are a number of templates. So Sloane was talking a little bit about rocket racing. Some of the game jams we've done specifically with rocket racing, which has a template where you can essentially build the track and then build your world around it and add all the gameplay to that. And then that game is playable in rocket racing. Lego Fortnite has a number of templates. So you could build Lego, IP with Lego content, in a world. So people are starting to build experiences that are in Lego Fortnite that are played in Fortnite or that are, Lego themed. And Ball Guys is also in UEFN now. So you can create pretty wild obbies or obstacle courses, in the Fall Guys vein within that, and definitely a neat way to learn UEFN as well. And fairly recently, we added the IP for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So there are two templates for that. One that's a kind of open world feel, and one that's a side-scrolling game, kind of like your arcade TMNT games that you can, build from. And a couple of things that are just also worth noting is, the path of Fortnite. Fortnite for a very long time was effective. Well, it started before this as Save the World, but then it was very well known as the Battle Royale game. Then Fortnite Creative came out, which as a teacher, I was super excited because my students started to use that to create content. And then, we started adding these gameplay experiences. Some of you might have been in some of our live events. And then, as people started developing content, we created, an environment where people could find other people's content. And then things really exploded with the UEFN Creator Economy 2.0. If you remember, back in the day, you might have support a creator code, but what you created, you weren't monetized based on the content you created. You were basically monetized by somebody just adding your code, and, you would benefit from them having your code in there. Now, all of the games that are published can be monetized based on engagement and payouts related to that. And then another thing that happened was when we wanted to really demonstrate the wealth of opportunity in terms of different genres of games, we released Rocket Racing, Lego Fortnite, and Fortnite Festival all in the same week, if you remember. And that showed there's really so much more that you can do in Fortnite. And for this group, I love game jams because I think if you haven't used UEFN yet and you start to, you all of a sudden rather quickly kind of understand what's possible. Because there is a tremendous economy built around this. Basically, 40% of revenue brought into Fortnite. So if people buy skins, if they have a battle pass, all those things is entered into an engagement pool, and 40% of that money gets redistributed back out, in the form of engagement payouts. So there are people doing really, really well, and then there are people who are, getting started and hoping to evolve. And you've got, big teams of developers starting to come together and creating just amazing content, both for brands as well as for just, themselves. And it's just, it's definitely become quite a thing. So it's just kind of worth noting that it's an interesting way to get into publishing. And there are AAA companies now that are building exclusively Fortnite content using these tools. So these are the tools that we use. They're the tools that all the professional developers for this ecosystem are using. And with that, I certainly can take a few questions if you have, but then want to hand it over to Ian. But if there are any questions about what I presented so far, feel free. And if you want to, you're welcome to, yeah. Well, you're welcome to take over the screen now, I do believe.
Oh, I get to take over.
You.
Ooh,
right?
I get to boot you. Look at this. Here we go.
Yeah, I just booted myself. So hi.
All right, we're gonna do this. Let's make sure that we are going to optimize as much for video. I'm not going to share sound. Oh, wait a minute. You have to make me share sound before I can share. Nope, can't optimize.
Yeah, it wouldn't let me. It wouldn't let me optimize for video, so we'll just pretend.
All right. All right, let's get this over here so I can see your beautiful faces. Real quick, I have been mentioned, as I mentioned before, I've been teaching this for a long time. So when you have questions and you want them answered, I will keep an eye on the chat while I'm doing this. This is being recorded, so don't expect to catch everything that I'm going to go over. I expect you to have questions. I expect you to maybe watch this video a couple times, whatever it is that you need to do. However, I'm going to go through it a little bit quick because I want to make sure that I'm able to get through this and then be able to answer questions in the end. So if you haven't already started with a team, you might want to start looking into that. It's always helpful to have that. So it looks like there's some stuff going on in the chat about how to create some teams and how people are going to be setting that up. And the reason that I say that is what I'm about to show you, I'm a generalist. I've been doing this for like 20 plus years. So I have access to a bunch of tools and skills that I've honed over the many, many years that I've been doing it. So do not compare yourself to me, compare yourself to yourself now and to yourself at the end of this game jam. It's going to be a big part of that. Okay, real quick. Give me a 1 in the chat if you can see my screen, if we're doing well. Okay. This is also a big, I'm also a big fan of like interactive work with me. I'll say it that way. All right, cool. We're good to go. All right. So what you see on screen is what I'm going to walk through basically to show you how this actually works. So what you see now is actually, Fortnite. Like this is Fortnite Creative. Everything that you see here, however, was actually built here inside of the editor. So this looks a lot like Unreal. It should look familiar, right? This is what it is. There is a big area up here. This is our viewport. This is where you're going to do most of your magic. I'm an artist by trade. I like to think of this as my 3-dimensional canvas. Over here on the right-hand side, we're going to have details panel. So depending on what I have selected, in this case, it's this big block right here. We have information about it. We also have information in here about what is inside of this level. So everything that you see in this giant list on the right-hand side is some object that lives inside of this world. Okay, so quick little setup on what you can do and where you're going. So let's actually just play through the game that I built. I did this at about 4 o'clock this morning because I enjoy this so much. When I get up in the morning, I'm just going to start making stuff. I'm going to go ahead and just say start game. So the idea is that I wanted to create a game where you had choices as a player. Not only that, but you have a goal as a player, like an actual game. Once that goal is actually completed, then you and the game are all done, right? So 3 different steps. Real quick, let's take a look at what I actually wrote up before I actually start playing. I know, more boring words. So gameplay loop. What is this game going to look like? This is my game design document. Again, 4 o'clock in the morning. It was short and simple. All right. So the player is going to spawn. I'm going to zoom in on this so you can see this a little easier. So the player is going to spawn. Okay, the player is going to talk to an NPC. That player then has a choice on which weapon they actually want to be using. I'm going to actually do a cinematic so that the player can see what they need to do. Now, how you tell the player what they need to do, totally up to you. I'm choosing a cinematic. Okay, I'm going to have some zombies spawn in. That's going to be the goal, to take out the zombies. I'm going to eliminate said zombies, and then I'm going to have the game end. Boom, just like that. That's what it is. Question, where do all these assets come from? They are all inside of Fortnite. Everything that you're about to see lives inside of UEFN. Use it, abuse it. Totally. It's totally a thing. Okay, all right, let's go ahead and zoom out. Pull this off screen. And let's go play said game now that I've talked about it. Eeny, meeny, miny, that one. All right, so here's my character. He's here up front. I have an NPC. The NPC is trying to get my attention. Let's go talk to this. So this is Trainer. So let's go talk to Trainer. Trainer says, hey, it's dangerous in there. What kind of thing would you like to defend yourself? Well, I have 2 options. We have a ranged weapon and we have a melee weapon. Give me a 1 if we want to do ranged. Give me a 0 if we want to do a melee weapon. Choose your own adventure. We got melees. Ooh, y'all are like me. I want to see the whites of the eyes of my enemies before they die, right? All right, so we're going to do a melee weapon. I'm going to do that. Boom, I am equipped. Well, what is it that I need to do? Well, let's go on in here and have a look-see. We're going to dance, y'all. Let's dance. Let's do this. All right, so let's run inside. Bust these open. So the object here is I need to take out 4 of these zombies. Only one of them is going to show up at a time. So let's go ahead and take one of these guys out. Boom. Oh, the power. Yeah, we can take these suckers out, right? So let's use our superpowers. Boom. And there should be one more. There he is. So when I take this one out, the game will go ahead and end. So let's just punch him in the face. Oh, wow. All that talk and I can't even hit him. Ugh, come on now. Really? Come on now. Is he invincible? There we go. Boom. Unarmed, it's the hands. All right, so the game knows that I have won, so boom, I'm totally done. Game over. So let's go ahead and build this up. Now what I'm going to do is escape our game here, go back over to UEFN. Now when you first open UEFN, you're going to see this right here. This is a project browser. Inside of here, you have an option to go ahead and create a bunch of different templates. What I did is I created just a blank one, so nothing inside of it, totally and completely blank. Okay. Now the next thing we want to do is remember where we're going to save our file. Okay. Now this is going to be local on the machine that you're working on, but you can also use revision control if you're working on a team, and now your team members, once it's created, will have access to it as well. We have a whole bunch of videos that actually talk about how to create a team and how to publish stuff inside of the Fortnite ecosystem. I'll put a link in there unless Steve's faster than me and can put it in there, right? Then you can go ahead and choose which team you're actually going to be working on, okay? For this one, I'm just going to have it be me. Not that big of a deal. Let's go ahead and turn this on because I'm going to use revision control and I want to show you how to use it as well. It'll be brief. And again, we have an entire tutorial series that covers on how to do this. Let's go ahead and give this a name. Let's say Game Jam Demo. Whoop, wrong letter. All right, so Game Jam Demo. Like so. Once I've actually got all of this information in there, I'm going to go ahead, let's make sure we got a blank one here. We'll make sure that this is all in here. I'm going to go ahead and hit create. Now, what this is going to do is it's going to create an actual project on my machine and then upload it, its first version of it, up to Epic's cloud. From there, it will actually allow me to share it with everybody else on my team. And I am searching for... I had a thing and now it's gone while it's loading. Oh, it's right there. Boom. Okay, so this is our Cleverlike school. Just real quick. Boom, copy that. Oh, you got it for me. Thank you, Steve. So inside of here, totally free. The school was a recipient of the Epic Mega Grants, so that's what made it free. Now you all get it. This is what I was hinting at a little bit earlier. So this, if you guys and gals would like to actually join in for a free class, we're going to be running this class next week. So it's totally there. It'll be a free-for-all type map. It won't be probably what you want to do for your game jam, but that's what it is. Like I said, there are a ton of courses inside of here. If you scroll down inside of the courses section, you can find things like how to actually code with verse if you want to. We'll be talking about landscapes, so don't worry about that. Okay, back into here. Now that my game is actually created, I am inside a completely and totally blank world. So let's go ahead and start from the beginning. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. This is a player spawner. Wherever these are, the player will actually spawn from them. I don't need a second one for this. I'm going to go ahead and delete it out of there. All right, so now the player is going to start from here. Well, how do we know that? Well, let's go ahead and test the game. So what we're going to do is up here at the top of the screen, you will notice there is a launch session button. This will connect me to a version of my game on the Epic servers, and I can go ahead and play it like I was literally doing. So I'm going to go ahead and click that button. It's going to say, hey, something has changed. Do you want to save? Thank you. Yes, I will. That's a good thing to do. So it's going to take a moment, do its little thing here. One of the things that I really enjoy about UEFN is that it really does mimic what it's like to build a game inside of a studio. There's always this waiting period before you're like, oh, okay, I got to test my stuff, right? Like it happens all the time. Okay, so my Fortnite is actually running in the background. And because it was running, it's saying, hey, do you want to go to this other UEFN session? And I want to say, yes, I'm going to leave this one, go into another one. So we'll let this run in the background. Okay, so we know that our player is going to spawn here. Well, let's put in someone that they can actually talk to. So down here at the very bottom of the screen, there is a little button that says Content Drawer. This contains everything that you're going to need, as well as anything that you actually import into the game. Say you have a logo for your team, you're going to want to import it into here. It'll live inside of the Content Drawer. So let's go ahead and open this one up. And inside of here, you will notice there is, I'm going to zoom in on this so you can see it. There is a root. This is kind of the root up here. There is a Fortnite folder. This is all the Fortnite assets. And inside of here, there are devices. Now, if you don't know how to write code, devices are your best friend. They will control almost everything inside of the game. So we're going to keep this demo simple and go ahead and work with devices. Back that out. So inside of the devices, let's go ahead and look for an NPC. And hey, look at this. We have an NPC spawner. I can go ahead and just click, drag this into the world, and ta-da, now I have an NPC. This thing, you can give it all kinds of superpowers. Now, the problem with this sucker's going to walk around and just walk away from me, and that's not what I want. But if you need NPCs, you can go ahead and drop one of those in. Let's change what we're searching for in here and actually look for a character. And specifically, I want this character device. Now, the difference between these is that an NPC can do a lot of things. They can follow you around. They can fight you off. A character device is just a static character that's going to stand there. So I'm just going to click and drag this one in. All right, where is it at? We want to make sure this is real easy for us to get at. Right there in front of what we need. Now, with this selected, let's give it a little bit of personality. So inside of here, you'll notice that we have a character section over here on the right-hand side. I'm an artist. I don't have a problem with this. Not a big deal. But if we want to change what this looks like, there's a little button right here. It's a little folder that's got a little search thing on it. We're going to go ahead and click on this. This will go ahead and open up my content drawer. And oh, buddy, look at all the characters we can use. So if you have a specific theme, I highly suggest walking through all of these. There's like 200 some of them and be like, oh, I want that character. I want this character. Now I do know what character I want. So NELL, and this is going to go ahead and give me this character. So I'm going to move this down a little bit. If I drag this over here into this little section on the right, you'll notice that this now updates. So cool. Now I have a character that I can actually talk to. Now, to be able to talk to it, we have to turn its ability to be talked to on. So over here, we have a little section that says interaction type. For those that can't read that tiny little writing, it actually says do not interact. Well, we want to interact with them, so I'm going to go ahead and click on this. I'll zoom in on it so you can see it. So I'll click on this, and I'm going to say send event only, right? And what do we want this to say when we're standing next to it? We're just going to call this trainer. No. So this is our character's name. This is what's going to be shown on screen when we walk up to it. Go ahead and zoom out. So this character is pretty much all set up.
Look.
Oh, let's actually give this character something to stand in front of as well. So let's go back into our content drawer. And if we close down our devices.
What's going on right now?
No, this is a game jam. This is just a how to prepare, but I think
Hello?
Oh, sorry. You got hit muted. You got to unmute yourself.
Okay, back, check. Cool. All right, so inside of here, we're going to go from our Fortnite down into our prefabs. Now, the prefabs are all the buildings that we can actually drag into the world. So let's go ahead and open this one up, and you're like, oh, look at all these folders, and there's a lot of stuff in here, and like eeny, meeny, miny, mo. All right, so let's just go Frosty Flights. Perfect, this will work. I'm going to go ahead and grab one of these buildings. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. If we do a search for dance, and I actually select the prefab one, can we find, nope. What was the one that I was using? What if it was music? I don't remember what it was. Okay, well, we're going to find a simple one. We're going to do a barn. All right, let's go ahead and grab our Pandora barn. And wait for it to update. Boom. I didn't have to model. I didn't have to texture. I didn't have to anything. I now have a barn inside of my world. That's awesome. Makes my life so much easier. All right. So now that we have something behind this guy, let's give him something to talk about. So to do that, this is actually a new device that came out probably about a month or two ago. So this is super cool. So you get to play with some of the new fun things that are in here. I want to be able to talk to this person, so I need to use a conversation device. Now, I say the word device to hopefully cement the idea that we need to be inside of the devices. And if we look for convo, or conversation, right? We have a conversation device. Now, I know some of you are going, how do you know where all these things are and what you're doing? This is all due to experience, 100%. And there are plenty of tutorials on a lot of this stuff. In fact, we've built tutorials on a lot of the stuff I'm showing you. So, conversation device. I'm going to drag this in, and I'm actually going to put this right above our character's head. Okay. Now, you noticed when I had done the video or the little demo earlier, we had a little box that was down here at the bottom with two little buttons. Okay. That is controlled right here by our conversation type. Do we want a radio button like we typically see inside of Fortnite Battle Royale, or do we want to do a box? So let's go ahead and change it to a box. I'm a bit partial to those ones. And our speaker name, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to go ahead and just delete it because we gave this device a name, so we didn't need to give this one a name. Now, this controls what we're actually going to be interacting with, but there's nothing in it right now. So we need to create an asset that's going to live inside of it. To do that, we can go down here toward the very, very bottom, and you can see that we have a conversation that we can create. So we're going to create a quick conversation. And to do that, I'm just going to click on where it says none. And up here at the very top, I'm going to create a new conversation bank. And it's just going to ask me, where do I want to save this? So I'm going to call this CB for conversation bank, and we'll call it Nell, because that's the guy that's going to be talking. Where do we want to save this? Keep your stuff organized. I'm going to put this in the root just so that it's there. Go ahead and save that in there. Now, if I double click on this, we can actually open it up. So just double click on it, and we get this big old scary thing. To begin this, we have to have somewhere to start. So I'm going to right click, and you can see that we have a default entry point. We're going to go ahead and use this. Now this default entry point, I'm going to click and drag off of here, and we're going to look for a speech, because this is what Nell is going to tell us. Okay, so let's go ahead and set this here. I'll zoom out. Over here on the right, we can go ahead and put in the information that he is going to tell us. So we'll say, what type of weapon do you want? Cool. So he's going to ask us that question. So now we can come up with two responses. So I'll click and drag off of here, and I'm going to go ahead and say, I want a response. So this one right here. And this first response, I'm going to say ranged. And this other one, we'll create another response, and we're going to say melee. Mellee. There we go, melee. Now, just because we have some sort of response, we need to tell the engine that we want something to happen when we choose a specific response. So from the ranged one, we're going to go ahead and create a conversation event. And this one is going to be labeled number 1. Okay, this is our first one. Let's go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. Right, and we're going to change this one so it's 2. So we're going to talk to our character. He's going to ask us a question. The player now has 2 responses. What are we going to do with them? Well, let's go ahead and just save this. We'll go ahead and close this one down. So we want to give the player a specific weapon. Well, lucky for us, we can do that. Let's jump into our devices, and inside of here, we're going to go ahead and do an item granter. Whoop, if I can spell. There we go, item granter. So we'll click and drag this one into the world. So we want some sort of a weapon that does damage from a distance. So in here, what we're looking for is this item list. We're going to add stuff to this list. It's an array. So the first one, we're going to go ahead and we'll click on this button here. Inside the index, we say, what kind of item do we want? Let's go do it with a pistol this time. So, hey, SMG, perfect. You'll notice, and I'll zoom in on this so you can see it, that some of these have got numbers next to them. The higher the number, the more damage they do, the faster they reload. Something to think about if you're going to do a weapon game. Yeah, we'll do the level 3. Okay. Now, the other thing that we need to do is make sure that we're actually going to be giving the player this weapon when they talk to this character. So to do that, down here at the very bottom, you'll find a section, and I will zoom in so you can see this, that's called User Options Functions. So these functions will allow us to connect different devices together. We want to connect this granter device to the conversation device. And we specifically want to grant the item, okay, from our conversation device. Let me zoom out so you can see this is a bit much. So down here, there's a little drop down or drop up, as it were, and there's a conversation device in here. That is this one right here. That is this one. Okay. So we're going to grab that one. And inside of here, and I'll zoom in so you can see this, it's going to say, hey, by the way, which event do you want that to be linked to? Remember those 2 events that we're branching off there? So we're going to do event 1. So this granter is going to grant this item when the player chooses option 1. Pretty much what it is. Now, we have a really cool little button right down here. So for those of you that are taking notes, you can actually tell the game to equip that item immediately. I'm going to toggle that on like so. Cool. Now, for those of you that are taking notes, I don't want to have to do all that over again because I'm lazy, 100%. So if I hold down the Alt key on my keyboard and I click and drag on the little arrow that's right here, I can actually make a duplicate of this. So everything in here is set up, but I want to just change the weapon. So let's go ahead and type in the word fist, and we will get our huge fists. Let's do level 6. They're super powerful ones. That'll be a thing. All right. But if we come down here to the bottom, you'll notice that this one is still connected to event 1. I don't want it to connect to event 1. I want it connected to event 2. Like so. All right, let's go ahead and save that. Now, since I've been building all of this and Fortnite's been running in the background, if I toggle over to Fortnite, you will notice that one, it's nighttime, and these things are kind of in strange places. You're like, well, I want to test to see if this is working, and why is all this stuff in weird places, and where'd my guy go? So I want to point out this up here at the top left. Inside of Fortnite, it'll let you know if you need to push your changes from the engine into actual Fortnite. So edit mode, push changes to refresh. So to do that, we're going to go back into UEFN, and I can go ahead and push my changes here. When you push changes, everything that is inside of UEFN will actually go to there. Anytime you add an object like a house or a device, or you move something, you typically have to push changes. However, if you're just changing settings inside of the device, you don't have to push your changes. You can just hit start game. So we'll push changes. Now, this will update over here on this side. Give it a moment. Oh, I might need to save. Oh, no, it's thinking. Okay. And it just takes a little bit of time. Whoops, wrong button. This one right here. Right. So now up here in the top left, you can see that we're getting these little arrows that are going around. That just means it's updating. It's thinking about what it needs to do. Make it a thing. All right. We got some time. We can do this. Okay. Now, the next thing that I want to do is I want to go ahead and add in the bad guys that are inside of here. So to do that, we need another device. Good guess, everybody. You're getting so smart. I appreciate this. All right. So let's look for creature. Now we have 3 options. We have a creature manager. We're going to ignore that one for now. We have a creature placer. This would place just one creature in the world. I don't want that. I want them to continue to spawn. So I'm going to go ahead and use a creature spawner. Let's go ahead and zoom into our building in here. This is going to be ridiculous because there's so many walls. Actually, let me show you a cool thing. So you can actually come in here, select these walls, and just start to delete things out of here. Be like, okay, I like this, but the feng shui is all wrong. Like, this is ridiculous. Why would anybody like ship this? I'm looking at you, Epic. No, I'm kidding. This is good stuff. All right, so we're going to delete a few of these out of here. Let's delete the floors from upstairs to some of the walls. Oh, wait, let's keep that. Let's undo. There we go. Delete that out of there. Delete that one, delete that one, delete that one, right? So don't feel like you're restricted by what they're giving you. You can come in here and customize this just like you can with your car insurance. All right, so I'm going to delete that one. We'll delete that one. Okay, so let's go back into here. Let's grab our creature spawner, and I'm going to place it in here. Now, this thing is kind of big, and you'll notice that it has like a ring around it. This ring is where those zombies are going to be spawning in at. So I want to change my max spawn distance, this ring, to something that's a little bit smaller. I'm just going to say 0.5. Now, they should just spawn right there, which is a good thing. Next thing that I want to do is I want to change what kind of type of the creatures are actually coming in here, right? So let's change this just to fiend. It'll be the ones that you saw earlier. Now, I don't want this to be seen, right? So I can actually hide this, and I don't remember where this one is. Here it is down here. So underneath the advanced section, if this isn't open, you can actually change the visibility. So I'm going to just turn that off. So now this thing will be hidden, right? This will be hidden, and you can't see it. Spawn effects visually, we'll leave that on. Enabled on game start, no, because we're going to turn it on as soon as we finish our conversation with Neil out there, right? So we're going to event bind this. So we can enable this once we actually choose our weapon, right? So we go into enable, and we'll go ahead and choose our conversation device. Now, this is what I did last time. So let me show you another way to do this. With this one selected, and I'm still over here, right? I can actually click on this tiny little button right here. It looks like a little eyedropper. If I click on this, right, and then bring my cursor over here, you can see that I can actually choose this from within the world. This is like cheating. I love it, right? So I'll click on that. So conversation device. And on the bottom of this list, you'll have another one that says on conversation ended. So when the conversation ends, whether the player chooses 1 or 2, this will still work. Right? So this is kind of a catch-all. Super nice. All right, let's go ahead and save that. Now, up here at the top, because I hit push changes, the game is actually running in the background. So we can test everything that I had done up until that point. We had not added this. So let's jump over there real quick. And, oh, they're going to just kind of join in here anyways. Look at that. Hi, how are you doing? So if we talk to him, oh, for some reason, he's not going to answer me. All right, those guys are going to take me out. Well, good game. Ooh, bugs. What do we have to do to get that to work? Well, let's take a few looks here. I bet this. Yep. Okay. So I see what I did incorrectly, what I missed. So even though I can interact with him, this is not sending a signal up here to actually begin the conversation. So to do that, what I need to do is make sure that this is selected. And over here, I can say initiate conversation. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and use my picker. I'm going to go ahead and choose this guy right here. And we're going to say on interacted with. We'll zoom in on this so y'all can see this really quick. Right? So I'm going to say on interacted with. Okay, cool. So now I can save that. So I should be able just to start the game. And hopefully that spawn thing, they don't start spawning at me. Okay, they're good. Cool. So now I can come over here. I can talk to him. Hey, what type of weapon do you want? I can ranged or melee. So if I say ranged, that gives me the weapon. And hey, they start spawning in there. And they're running away. Chickens. Ha ha ha. Cool. So there's that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now they're going to keep spawning because we need to set up a few more things. So let's just address that because we're thinking about it. Up here at the top, we have number of creatures. We'll say 4. This is how many creatures are going to be alive at one time. Let's just set it to 2 for now. So it'll be a little bit different. And down here below, spawn through walls. I don't want them to go through the walls. That sounds like a terrible idea. Spawn range, we'll leave that as wave timer. I'm going to set this up for every 5 seconds. So we'll get one every 5 seconds. And preferred max distance. Now we should have a limit spawn creatures. This is what I'm looking for. I can limit how many of them are actually going to be coming out. So I'm going to limit this to a total of 5, like so. So now they will spawn 2 at a time, and they will spawn every 5 seconds until there are a total of 5, and then it'll be done. So that's pretty much how that's going to work. Okay, I've changed a few settings in here. I've added a few things, but I'm going to move on just to make sure that we've got time and I can answer some more questions. I see them coming through. Thank you, Steve, for answering some of them as we go. All right, so we can walk up to him. We can get our weapons. We can actually take out a few critters. I'm going to go ahead and bring in what's called the end game device. Actually, no, we don't have to use that one. Haha. Instead, inside of our outliner, there is an item in here that's called the island settings. For those of you that are taking notes, this is super important. This island settings is going to control a ton of how your game actually works, i.e. how many players, what it's going to take to actually end the game, if they can actually build, if they can run, if they can jump, if they can fly, if they can actually shoot weapons, all of that stuff, right? So it's actually here inside of the outliner is the easiest way to get at it. You can do a search up here at the top if you do island and actually get your island settings. Cool. Inside of the details, once it's actually selected, I'm actually going to do a search for to win. Oh, probably end. There we go, to end. We'll zoom in on this one. So to end, we are going to see how many AI eliminations we can get. Now, this is set up for creatures. If you actually want to do other players, you're going to need to use this one that's just above it. Okay, so AI eliminations to end. Well, we're going to be spawning 5 zombies, so let's take out 5 zombies and we'll call it good. Like so. All right, we'll save all of that. Let's go ahead and give this a go and see if we need to push changes. I got a feeling we should be pretty good. Okay, so they're not spawning. That's good. All right, let's talk to him. Let's go and do melee this time. Get these. Let's run inside of here. So 2 at a time. It's doing what it's supposed to. Wow, I have a terrible shot with this thing up close. All right, back up, buddy. There we go. All right, so we get 2 more. Maybe just 1 more. There you go. Boom, take them out, and the game totally ends. Okay, before I run out of time, because I said I was going to do a video or some cinematic sequence stuff as well, I'm going to hold off on that, because how much time have we got left for this, Steve? Another 20 minutes?
Yeah, I'd say about 15, 20 minutes
15,
just to
20
leave
minutes?
time to chat.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay, so I want to chat before we do the sequence thing, because I do want to show you how to do that, but only if we have time to make it happen. So I'm going to zip over to the meeting, see if anything didn't get answered. Due to the massive library, would I recommend to work in a separate UEFN project or just send over what you need? All of those things, yeah. All of this stuff is in there. Yeah, you can just grab it, just play with it. Thank you, Steve, for answering that one. After work, I'm going to reviewing the recording. Perfect. Amanda, get you on the flip side. Thank you for rewatching the recording. And another one on there. Okay, cool. So if you have questions, when you have questions, feel free to keep dropping them in there. I know that is a ton of information. Like I just like verbally vomited at you in a serious way, right?
I've got a more basic question.
What's up?
This is so cool, right? And I don't know why people would just. I might be just making a game as soon as this is over because I'm back now that you've made all these tools. How do I let people in? Like if I want to play with like Samantha and Mika and Alex and Isaac, and we all want to sort of coexist, right? Because to me, there's like a place that I want everyone to come over and together we're going to be making a game. But you're in the house knocking down walls, but I want to be working on the voice stuff. Like, how do we basically coexist and say like, this is who's on the table, you know what I mean? Like, do what you need to do. I'm going to go eat lunch. You work on the voices. Like, how do you basically do that?
Yes, absolutely. Let's go ahead and talk about that one. So your first step is
perf force. You don't even have to deal with perf force.
Yeah, don't even worry about perf force.
Okay, I'm not worried about perf force. Okay, that's not what I do.
Yeah, I love perf force, but no thanks for this, right? So the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to have to create a team and then make sure that everybody is on that team. We have a little video over here that says publishing your island. We actually talk about, this is a series actually, that talk about how to actually create a team. So kind of a setup and some, this is all publishing stuff. Ooh, where's the team stuff? Oh, I'll have to find it. Anyways, I know that we have it. I'll have to dig for it. Once you actually have that team in there, you can actually invite other people in. So if I were to go to do this off screen, so I'm not giving away too much good information. Where'd you go? This one. And you will do that through the creator portal. Okay, cool. So
yeah, I just dropped that in.
Perfect. Thank you, Steve. So inside of here, I'm going to go ahead and log in. Should take me to the correct one. This is all our Cleverlike educational stuff. And you can invite people in on your team. So let's go over to, we could do Cleverlike education. That should work well enough. So inside of here, as an admin, if you create it, you'll be an admin. So you'll have a manage team button over here on the far left-hand side. Okay. Inside of here, you will also have at the very bottom, let me just make sure this isn't going to be showing you something I shouldn't be showing you. Okay, there it is. So I can do this. Okay, so at the very bottom, there is this pending team members and there is an invite link. All you need to do is click on this. I would send you this. I would literally like send it to you. Like it's not going to send you an email. Like this is what you need to have your team members respond to. Once they click on that, this isn't going to do any good if you copy this. So whatever, it's on the video. If you copy this and then send it through Discord or through email or take a picture of it, whatever, they can type this in. They'll get a little window that says, "Hey, so-and-so has invited you to their team." You say they accept, and then they're in on your team. And you can have up to 30 members on your team. Oh. That's how you get going. It's that easy. Now, step 2 that goes along with this. I can't believe I don't have it. I think I've got it in the revision control one. So the step 2 part of this is that when they're on your team, you can come up, and when they actually open up this, they will have an option down here. They will have teams up here at the top. Right now it's glitching out, so I'm not going to fight the good fight. But you can see which teams are actually part of this, like who the owner is. Like this one's mine. Like I've got a whole bunch of them. Here's some other ones, like this one's mine, kind of a thing. And they will have access to these. And I wish I could give you a good example. Do I have a good example? Okay, all right. So this one's owned by another team, so you can jump in on it. They will have access to all of these projects and files, which is great. Then they just select one of these, open it up. Now, what they're going to see is anything that you have actually submitted here inside of your world. So how do we submit stuff so that your team members can actually see this? Well, this is actually really easy. And this is part of the revision control, so you don't have to use Perforce. That makes this so awesome. So down in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a couple of things going on. One, I can see that I am connected to revision control. There's a little green thing on this one, little green check mark, right? So cool. So what I'm going to do is make sure that I'm actually connected. So this is it, right? You have to be logged in. You have to have an internet to actually work with UEFN. So that's something you got to know. So I'm connected, right? So now what I want to do is I want to check in changes. And this, let's zoom out so you can see what this is going to look like. It's going to give me a list of all of the files and things that I've added inside of this project. Now, most of this stuff is this building over here, but you can see there are a couple of devices in here too. So character device, creature spawner, like all that stuff, right?
Okay.
Once you submit this, and I'm going to say, please, for those of you, look over here, please put really good information in this checklist, because your teammates are going to go, what did you change? And you're going to be like, I smashed my keyboard and turned it in. Like, don't make them hate you. So conversation and zombie mechanics. Cool. So now that I've actually written something in here, I can now submit this. This will send it up to the Epic Cloud. So we'll say submit. Give it a moment. And now down here in the bottom right, you can see I have no changes, and I am at the actual latest of whatever it is that somebody has submitted. So what is it that I've submitted? Well, if we go back into our revision control and open up, and I'll zoom in on this, it says open snapshot history. Okay. So if I open this, we get another little window, and I can see that this was the initial snapshot right here, number one, that the engine actually created when I first created the project. Now, the second one you will see is, I'll zoom in on this so you can see it while it's loading, right? Initial snapshot of conversation and zombie mechanics. And this is going to have all of the things that I've actually added so I can keep track of what it is. Now, let's say, for example, let's say Steve is on my team, right? And I haven't actually grabbed the latest yet. I will see a little bit different interface. So I want to point that out. Now, this button that I just clicked up here, this allows me to sync to any previous snapshot is what's going on here. So I'm just doing that to like show an example.
Sorry for the professors at home. So there's every version ever being stored that people have checked in.
Yeah.
No matter who checked it in.
Yes, sir.
That version's always, I can always just go back to version 7 if I want to and go where I want to go. And wait, can I rebranch off? How do I rebranch or something?
We can't branch yet. I don't even know if we can later, but I'm hoping, fingers crossed, we'll be able to do branches. We don't have branches. So
if you go back, it's all the way back. Now I'm like watching like Loki. So there's one thing. Okay, no, literally, like I just curious. Yeah. Like if you change it and you decide to go back, you got to take it all the way back.
You can go back to different versions. So if you've got like 50 different ones and you go back, you're like, oh, something broke on version 43. You can go back to 43, kind of figure out what it is. And you can actually push that one to the very top too, if you need. We have a whole tutorial series on it. We got your back. Yeah, it's all good. Good questions too, by the way. Right? Okay. So you will now notice that I don't have anything in here. You'll notice also that this, oh goodness, that this is yellow. That's telling me that I don't have the latest version. That's one way you can tell. The other way that you can tell is down here in the bottom left-hand corner, your other left-hand corner, you have a sync to latest. This will let you know that you don't have the latest version of whatever it is that your buddy has done, right? So, for example, I'm working on this project, right? And Steve is also working on this project, and Steve turns something in. And all of a sudden down here in the bottom, I noticed that I'm like, oh, I don't have whatever Steve is working on. I need that because I'm going to be doing something with it, right? I can come down here and I can just hit sync latest and it will grab all that stuff from the cloud and it will populate my version with it. Now, if there are conflicts between different objects, it will let you know. And it will give you an option on what you want to do. If you want to take theirs, you want to take yours. Again, we have tutorials on that stuff. Give it a moment. Poof, there it is. Right. So we can work side by side-ish, right? Not quite in real time, but we can work really, really closely with our team members without having too many issues. Now, the other cool thing about this is, say your teammate doesn't actually have a PC. They can use their PlayStation, their Switch, their mobile, their Xbox, and actually do all this stuff in live edit. And by live edit, I mean that they can be inside of Fortnite and they can come in and be like, oh, you know what? I want to go ahead and grab this and I'm going to make a copy of it over here. Like, perfect. That's exactly what I want. And you will actually see that update. Oh, it's going to fight me today. I should actually see that box right here, right? There's a copy of it. So anything that you change, they will see. Anything that they change, you will see. Totally worth kind of playing with that feature. It's super cool.
I may have 47 more questions, but I'm just going to ask one. Can I pull audio? Like, okay, so like, can I... If I wanted to recreate the movie Bloodsport, can I pull audio, like any audio I want, like off the internet, or do my own voiceovers and just drag it in and just there it is in the game?
Yep. A couple things to think about on that one. If you record all of your own stuff, 100% free to do it. If it's copyrighted, you cannot publish it unless you have copyright rights. So think about that.
But I can play.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. If you want to bring in audio. So for example, let's just be smart about this. We'll say new folder. We'll call this my audio, right? I'm going to right click in here. We're going to go up to import. And inside of here, I have a whole folder of audio. Inside of here, background music, sure, audio, mark it. How big is this one? Something to note is that as of right now, you can only bring in WAV files, so WAV files. It won't take MP3s. Unreal does, UEFN does not. So keep that in mind. Which one is this? Let's actually do something that's a little bit smaller. So sound effects, coin pickup. I'm going to bring in my coin pickup. You're not going to be able to hear this. I'm not sending my audio or sharing my audio, but you can play your audio in here if you want to. You can also use sound cues, right? So if we open up our sound cue and we bring this in, if we bring this in, there we go. Right now I can come up here and I can manipulate it. There are mixers, there's delays, there's Dopplers. You've got a lot of toys inside of here as well. So you just connect this up. You can play with it there if you want to alter it. However, you can also, hey, look, there it did. It updated that thing. Boom, I told you I'd see it. You can also come in here under your devices. If I do audio, we have an audio player. Best used for sound, for one-offs, sound effects. So what I'm using, this would be really nice. If you do a search for radio, you can also have one that basically just loops over and over and over. It's a little bit more equipped to do that kind of stuff. So we'll say...
Question 1B. Does it have channels? Like, can I compose music if I want to play... if I imported the notes of the scale, could I then play music because I can drag and trigger music? Can I compose?
So short answer, yes. Better answer, use these patchwork devices. You can actually, so you've got like bass, you can connect them all together. We've not done a tutorial on that, so it's one I haven't done yet. But you can come in here and play with all this stuff, and then you can actually set it up so that it's specific beats. You can have certain things happen, like VFX, for example. There are a lot of things that actually react to it. So
we're actually going to have a tutorial soon that somebody on my team's creating around patchwork and how to, kind of make things happen based on what's happening in the game. So like you get to the boss fight and the music intensifies based on music that you created in patchwork, that kind of thing.
I'm super excited. So to finish this off, we have an audio device. The audio device, we can add in the sound cue. That is this sound cue. The sound cue is using this voice or whatever it is that you've got, right? Now this thing you can trigger down here at the bottom. Let me zoom in on it so you can see it. You can play it based on something. You can set it up so you've got a button or maybe a volume that you're walking into, which I should probably show you both of those at. And then you can actually have it stop. You can enable it. You can register it so only specific players hear it as well. So there's a lot of options that are inside of there. So, because I just mentioned two things that are going to be pivotal to all of your development, 100%. Inside of your devices, look for button. You have a button device. All you have to do is walk up and actually press this button and something will happen. You can also do my personal favorite, a volume device. That is this one right here. Let me back up because this is a little bit large. If a player walks into this or walks out of it, so you can see this, right? So if a player walks in or walks out, you can event bind stuff to this as well. So for example, player walks into a room, you want baddies to start spawning. Totally do that.
Question 1C.
What do you got?
What kind of inputs are you allowed to have? Like, I imagine I can use the whole keyboard, or I could use like a Xbox controller. Like, can I get input from anywhere on the internet? Can I get voice input? Like, what kind of inputs can I have that affect the world?
That's a good question.
It works with mind control, Gordon. So if you just sit back and think.
Well, no,
control.
okay. See, now, not a bad question. My one key actually was, could I have Chat GPT input into a game that then would affect outcomes in my universe? Where could input come from?
No. So good question. And now back to what Steve was saying. He thinks it's mind control because he just thinks it tells me and I do it. But essentially what happens is you have mouse and keyboard or controller, and that's all you're limited with.
Oh, okay. Got it. All right.
As of right now, it is not connected to anything external. And there are reasons for that. Remember that there are kids playing this, so we can't have external things coming in from the internet. Unreal, 100%. You can actually we have a tutorial on this. You can actually not input, but output. You can actually have Unreal open like web pages, which is kind of cool. But yeah, you could go that direction too. So a little bit more specific with those. Excellent questions. Keep them coming.
Cool. Okay.
What I was going to say too, just Ian, I don't know if you showed it, but just to show how many like prefabs and things, did you show even just the process of just dragging in? You probably did with this one prefab, but I just think it's amazing to think of how quickly you could build a world. Yes. And then one of the things that's super cool too is you bring in a world, and then every piece or a building, every piece of that building is a separate object. So like, you could bring in a building and then, build a whole, whatever addition to it by using pieces from that same building, it just becomes so versatile in terms of that. The landscape editing and everything. I mean, it's like, gosh, like we'd love to, it would be just amazing if we had an opportunity to do a full weekend game jam, with y'all, because, we just cover so much ground in that. Speaking of covering the ground. All right, what I'm going to show you next is a landscaping tool. So when you when you start with this blank template, you're given these 4 grid planes, which are great, but they're not very pretty. So I'm just select them all, hit delete on the keyboard. Up here in the top left-hand corner, I'm going to open up my selection mode. Specifically, I'm looking for the landscape. And I highly suggest keeping this small. Oh, not foliage, I went landscape. Think small first. Then make it bigger later. If you absolutely have to, you can add more. Again, we have tutorials on all this stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and make a couple of changes. I'm going to set this to a 4x4. This is the same size as those 4 things that I just deleted. I'm going to go ahead and hit create. Do not, for the love of everything digital, ever press the fill world button. You'll never get your computer back. Unless you want to cook on it, then by all means do that. So what it's going to do is it's going to create what's called a landscape. And this will already have a material on top of it. I'm not going to go into materials, but I do want to show you how you can actually manipulate this. So let's go ahead and zoom in on it. And inside of here, yeah, look at that. I put it right underneath everybody's feet. It's so smart. Okay. Up here in the top left-hand corner, I am in landscape mode. Okay. I am in the sculpt section now that I've actually created something, and I'm going to use the sculpting tool. I can change the tool strength, size, and how much it's actually falling off. If anybody's ever sculpted in something like Blender or ZBrush or painted inside of Photoshop, these are basically your brush controls. I'm going to go ahead and just crank this up so that everybody can see what I'm doing. I'm going to change my brush size. The brush size is controlled by this circle. I can see right now that it's 512 units. I want to make it bigger, so I'm just going to click and drag and make this larger, and then hey, that's much bigger. Now if I click on here and start to wiggle, I can instantly start to create landscapes like so. If I want to carve in, I'm going to hold down the shift key and I can click in, boom, like that, right? So that's cool. I want to go ahead and flatten this area off because I just smashed part of my building. I'm going to go ahead and use the flatten brush. Now let's make this brush a little bit smaller, and I'll zoom in over here and smaller than that. Whoop, not that one. That's not what I want. Tool strength, that's fine, but I want my size. There it is. All right, so if I click and drag on here, you can see I can kind of flatten this off depending on where I'm clicking. So if I click up here, I can create like plateaus. Now, the reason that I show you this is because we can also, let's go ahead and leave landscape mode. I'm going to come down here, and inside of my Fortnite folder, I'm going to look for lake.
And I can grab a lake, or I can grab, let's even do a simpler one, a pool. And I want there it is, swimming pool, right? So there are a couple of different kinds of waters in here. I'm going to grab a swimming pool. This is going to be the simplest to deal with. And if I just drag this in here, this is how so much water is actually built in games. I'm going to get this little plane. I'll zip it up so you can see it, right? So that's what that looks like. If I bring this down and I move it and then I scale it, I instantly have a lake. Whoops, go over here, right? Boom. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. Now, something to note is that when you're actually creating landscapes, you will notice that it does not update in the game. So we have to push our changes to actually see that. So quick rundown of everything I just talked about. The editor obviously is free. Every asset that's inside of Fortnite is inside of it. The devices will allow you to create game mechanics without having to do any kind of coding. All you need to do is use event binding. You can create conversations with characters. You can have them actually give you items. You can grant items other ways too, like walking into a volume, pressing a button. You can write verse code, which we did not get into, to get into some really nuanced stuff. If you're comfortable with writing code, by all means, do that. It's super cool. Being able to push the changes, you can see things really quickly and test them, which is awesome. Working with a team, you actually have revision control. This gives you a bunch of control that you really, really want. For example, if you or your teammates break something, you can actually go back a version and be like, okay, this one works. We're going to start from there and work forward, right? It just saves you thousands of hours 100% of the time. The landscape tools are great because they allow you to actually change what you want your world to look and feel like, right? You can change things with materials in there if you want. Obviously, we can bring in audio. We talked about that briefly. A quick and easy way to add water. We can do that too. The other big thing that I highly suggest is making sure that you know where you're going with what you want to do. So a game design document is the foundation of what you're doing. When things change, I wish Sloane was here. When things change, you need to be able to pivot pretty quickly. UEFN allows you to do that, to make those changes, because you can work with teams. If you're working by yourself, please still use revision control. It will save you a ton of time. And that is all I've got. And this is still updating in the background. So I will answer any more questions.
Let me go before you answer anybody else. So I need to make a quick announcement. So hello, everyone. If I'd like to take the time to ask all of you if you're participating in Global Game Jam, but you're still looking for a team to work, I'm going to provide a link in the chat. All you have to do is just please tell me who you are, what roles you'll be interested in working in. And once you put that down, I will be randomly selecting everybody together and place them into groups. So that way you actually have a team. This is a great way for those who are like still looking to find a team to work with, but also have social anxiety. So that's where this form comes into play. So please fill this out, and I will put you together into a team so you can start planning for a game jam. Thank you.
Thank you, Mika. Oh, there it is. And there it is. God, so okay. I know I'm not supposed to ask all the questions, but this evokes so many questions. Two small questions. So if I make a game like you just made and then I play it, can I save my progress in a game?
Yes. There are a couple ways to do that. Hey, look, hey, look at that. Yay. Do I actually float in here? I think I do. Yeah, look at that. I already have float mechanics. I don't have to do anything. Yes. If you want to save your progress, there are two ways to do it. The easy way, however limited, is to actually use what's called a save device. So there is a save point. You can trigger this so that it will automatically load stuff, or players like, oh, I want to go back. I can actually load that specific data. You can have it automatically load when they spawn in. There's a bunch of things that go along with that. There are a couple other devices that actually go along with this one. There is a switch device. This thing is incredibly versatile if you want to save specific data, and it will save specific player data as well along with that save device. So yes, you can absolutely do that one. Some of the other questions, are we able to upload our own UI? Yes, we actually have a UI course right here as well. So there's that one. Open this one up. right? So there's that too. It talks about actually creating a simple, this one's a very simple quest up here at the top for sure. This is for stats. So if you want to do levels and experience, you can do that as well. And then down here, you can actually customize, create your own widgets. Definitely look into that if you want to do some UI stuff. You will need to understand materials in a serious way. We have an entire materials class, so we can do that in there as well. Oh yeah, the account is free. Yeah, like I was saying, just like get in there and do it, right? See materials.
Yeah, if we don't have it, we should make like a global game jam resources folder where people can, while they're in the midst of the jam, if they want to pop in here and find this asymmetrically. Huh.
Right. So we've got some bunch of materials in there, some foundational stuff, decals, materials for UIs. There you go. Right. Materials for gameplay. You can make an object bounce when you whack at it. Like there's a checkbox for that. It's kind of silly. There's all kinds of things in here. So I think I got all the other questions. Oh, can you modify the skybox? Yes, you can modify the skybox. Absolutely. Inside of your devices, if you look for sky, there is this sky day sequence. You can change this so you can get specific atmospheric feels. We're talking clouds, lighting, sun, moon, blue sky, nighttime. There's a bunch of stuff that you can play with that. You can set your time of day by using the island settings. There is a time of day. You can see this is set to default, but you can actually change this if you want a specific time, and it will never change from there. The other thing that you can add in too, and this is kind of a cheeky way to do it, if you do a barrier device, this barrier device is really silly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make it hollow. So I'm going to say a hollow box, and now the player can be inside of it. But what I'm going to do is make it really big, and then I'm going to change my depth over here to 10, 10, and 10. So now this thing is huge, right? So it's really, really big. Inside of my barrier material, if I do something like this one, all of a sudden I'm floating in space. It was the first material that was in there, right? So now if we go into here, oh, it's not going to show it. I have to actually update it. Oh, I'm in game mode. Haha, right. So yeah, you can actually do floating in space stuff. One of the Lego examples does this. Oh my gosh, so much cool stuff. I could just go on for days. Okay, cool. I think that covers all of the questions that are in there. If they're not, please drop another one in there. Please get a hold of me when you have questions, not if you have questions. The recording is obviously here, so you can play it slower because I know I went through that fast. Yay, all the information about how to contact us. Perfect. I think this will, yeah, so now I can actually yeah, look at that. Look like I'm inside space. Super cool. There it is. You are very welcome. Yeah, glad I could come in and help you all out with all this stuff. If you end up using Unity, I would not be offended. It's an amazing program. If you end up using Unreal, that's cool too.
They can coexist. I can have infinite questions, but let me throw something out there. So if we agreed to the same rules, okay, like the rules of how the universes work, could we make the thing where people made the robots and they fight, like the robots and, with the saws on the side?
Mm-hmm.
Could we have something where we could all make our own robots, but then import them into the same game and then just set them free and they would fight?
Technically, yeah. There'd be some other things to go with it.
You're talking about the mobs that you brought in? Because can you set them to fight each other?
I guess, I'm picturing the show that you see on TV where you put the robots in the cage? BattleBots. Could we if we agreed to the rules of the universe, right? Like everyone agrees to the rules of the universe, and everyone could then make their own BattleBots, you see, in their own UEFN. But then we could import them into the same place.
Funny thing.
Go. Right.
It's very funny you say that. We have a robotic learning kit that Ian's team created for Unreal Engine, and we actually have that activity where kids create, that's in Unreal, but they create their robot, and there's an arena, and you then export your robot in Unreal and import it into the other person's world, and then you do that exactly. In UEFN, I wonder if you could do the same thing?
So not to that extent.
Right.
Some of the blueprint, because blueprint stuff doesn't come into UEFN.
Right.
But you could definitely create some sort of whatever bot, for this example, in your world, and then take those files and migrate them into. Everybody could migrate it into one, and they would all be in one spot. Then it would be a matter of hooking up a few things, and probably.
But you could have autonomous things fight each other in UEFN. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, they're the guards. You can set the guards on specific teams. You can hire them. So if you're like, hey, I want 5 people on this one, 5 on this one, but you have to do something to earn them. You can go and then earn them, and then they can jump in. And then to take it to another level, there are NPCs and AI, so you can do it that as well. The guards are a great way to start with it. There's also wildlife.
I see a neat idea there of like you give everybody an economy, and they buy a certain number of different types of units, and then have them battle it out.
Yep,
you
it's
could
totally
also in a gentler world have characters who could debate each other.
Yes,
if they had like languages and ways of speaking to each other, you could actually have like debate and have winners and losers of like verbal battles. Oh my God, we could have rap battles, but they'd be in UEFN.
And and now you're getting into things that we didn't like. There's all the cool animation and cinematic stuff you can do that either is. Isn't really necessarily part of the gameplay, but outside of the gameplay, I mean, crazy.
All right. Thank you. By the way, no one said it besides me. Wow. Okay.
I think there were a few wows in the chat.
We do this every day until we're done.
So how I have a question for y'all. How long is the game jam? You guys, a week, 2 weeks, a day, 48 hours?
This is Global Game Jam you're doing this with. So is it still a week? It used to be a weekend.
There's a week to find your time. So I think the point of the week is so that you don't crunch. Let's take it back to healthy habits so that people can have a healthy amount of sleep and support and worry about their physical, mental, relationship, emotional, and financial health. But still jam. I think we've sort of detoxified. It used to be like, you gotta, break some eggs to make an omelet.
I've done the weekend one where it's like, oh my God.
Speaking of physical health, ergonomic mouse, baby.
But it's the same week everywhere, right? Like
it's the same week everywhere. Same week everywhere.
And so your community is participating as a group in the Global Game Jam, or are you involved on the grand level of organizing the Global Game Jam?
Got it. Oh, that's an interesting.
No, I'm asking you.
So, we're in the jam. We support Global Game Jam. It's amazing. Everyone's finding their way to participate in it. And so there's like the API Jam, there's a GGJ Jam, there's a Big Ten Jam. We've got system scholars. Awesome. Everyone find a way to jam.
Yep.
We are trying to democratize the experience and hopefully showcase some of this work at GDC at your jam. Like it's all one story, people. Games. Everyone included. And now with Mika's forum, you can find a buddy.
Yeah.
Right. Which is that's like actually a big, like, I don't want to finish.
Oh, absolutely.
It's hard to walk into a room full of strangers and be like, hey, I just want to help. And it's like, help what? Help out? No, I just want to help. Everyone wants to help.
And that's the amazing thing about, I mean, when I did participate in the Global Game Jam, I went with a few people that I knew I wanted to participate with, but we did bring, other people onto our team. And it's so neat to see people with different skills and interests be able to do that. And I appreciate Mika's point of, for some people, it might be, it's great to have that facilitation for that, because it is hard sometimes to do that. But it's a really neat experience when you bring together people with diverse interests, diverse backgrounds and stuff. It's really great.
I always feel bad for the people that are on my team because I'm obviously loud and obnoxious.
Ian, you are welcome. Your flavor of ice cream is there's a team for you.
Yes.
Come play with us. You can be as loud as you want.
Well, I think the forum is also meant to help develop a professional skill, because when you go into the games industry, you're going to be working with people you really don't know who they are. And it's something that people will have to get used to, because when you apply for a job, you don't know who's working there. I mean, you may know a couple of people here and there, but the chances are you might not be in that team with them. So I think it's a great way to like randomly select people and put them in the pool to work with other people, different skill sets. And it's a learning experience, and it's gonna make things better for you, not only just now, but professionally in the long run.
Yeah. So your form is really just a random number generator.
I mean, pretty much. I just need to get like enough answers where I can just
That's awesome.
basically figure out who's going to be placed and where.
Yeah. That's great. No, it's cool. Very cool. But yeah, I mean, reach out to us if we can further support. You know, we love this stuff and want people using these tools and, you know, all that.
Great. Yeah. Thanks guys so much. You guys are very, very helpful.
Yeah.
And thanks
Thank
for
you
the
for
people
having
from
us.
the future who are watching this on a recording.
Yes.
We care about you in the future. Hello
Yes.
from the past.
Yeah. Thanks
We're
for
willing
watching.
to help the people in the future and the past as well. Yes.
All right, y'all. Again, reach out. We'll be around.
Thank you, Cleverlike. Thank you,
Yeah,
Stephen.
absolutely.
Yep. Thanks,
Thank
Gordon.
you, Sloane.
Thanks, Alex.
Even though
Thanks,
you're not here,
everybody.
Thank you, Sloane.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody who joined us for the time. Thanks.